Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix Show. My name is Chris Wong. This is episode 441 of the Ping Pong Flix Show. And yes, I'm doing the multi-screen thing again because I thought it was kind of easier to just click on things and show you, I don't know, interacting with the screen, I guess. But let me know if this not that great or you'd rather have me with the full screen again. But anyway, it's actually a little bit easier for me. So let's go into some DC film news. The first one up is regarding Margot Robbie. This is coming from a Variety article that Margot Robbie had participated in. She was interviewed for many things, including the movies that she's coming in, Bombshell and other movies such as that. But I want to kind of hone in on what she talked about Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey. Robbie is currently shooting with writer-director James Gunn's The Suicide Squad sequel in Atlanta, reprising her role as Harley Quinn. When I mentioned that her Suicide Squad co-star Joel Kinnaman raved about how funny he thinks the movie is going to be when he was a guest on The Big Ticket last month, Robbie says he's right. You're going to be laughing a lot. It's going to be good is all I can say for now. It's going to be very, very good. Now, just to comment on that a little bit. Are you surprised? It's James Gunn. Even his movies like Slither or Super, even if it was gory and they had some dramatic moments to it, there was still some a bit of comedy involved in that. So I'm not really surprised the Suicide Squad, James Gunn's Suicide Squad, is going to have comedy in it. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Now, in regards to Birds of Prey, the story in Birds of Prey is told from her point of view, so you have an insight into Harley's world in a way that you didn't in the first Suicide Squad film, nor that you'll have in the next Suicide Squad film. Robbie says it's a little bonkers. It reflects her personality. It's heightened. It's poppy. It's fun. It's violent. It's crazy. It's absurd. It's kooky. It's hilarious. It's a little heartbreaking. So it's all pretty much Harley Quinn, and a Harley Quinn story, a Harley Quinn centric film, as you can see from the poster and all the marketing so far, even the trailer. This is definitely through what I would also believed for a while now, that this movie is through, like she's saying, her point of view, and her mind is not exactly there. So maybe this movie is kind of crazy. She'll see things that happen that's happening on screen because that's coming from her mind, and if that's the case, there could be some artistic nature to seeing a movie through the eyes of a crazy person, right? From the criminally insane. And we get to experience that a little bit. And I think that is something to be worth seeing and worth kind of viewing through. Does that mean we get to not get to explore the other characters? I'm not sure. I mean, that's probably one of my main concerns, is that you don't really get to explore the true points of view of the other characters, the other birds of prey. And it's just going to be how Harley Quinn views these birds of prey, which is not necessarily how it is true in that reality, right? I'm just trying to be, kind of optimistic about it. But it is interesting to say the least, and I'm still excited for it. But I'm really wondering how they're going to play that off and how people will react to a movie that essentially is a Harley Quinn film with birds of prey involved within it, and it's her point of view. I think it could work very much. I wonder how crazy that would definitely be. This movie still looks beautiful and it looks absolutely gorgeous, but I'm still wondering how this movie is going to turn out. So we'll see later on next year. So the next one is about Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill is still Superman. Yes, this came out today on Men's Health magazine. Henry Cavill Instagrammed this. No, he did not say hashtag release the Snyder Cut, although he did, I guess he went to, when a fan asked him, he actually put that up under a fan's Instagram message. But Henry Cavill is still Superman. Danny Garcia, his rep agent, also posted that on Twitter, because Henry Cavill doesn't have a Twitter account. But he did post this. It's interesting to say the least. So I'm going to go fast forward. You can go ahead. I'm going to link the article in the description below if you want to read the whole thing. But I'm going to kind of just fast forward a lot of this, okay? All the way up to the point where we're wondering about him being Superman, right? So I think that's what everybody wants to really know about. And anyway, so I'm going to write to here. There have been numerous reports, some from rumor-ravaged fan sites, but others from credible industry publications, that Cavill's time as Superman is finished. You can sense the question forming in customers' heads as they watch him ring up purchases and exit House of Secrets. Wait, is that dude still Superman? Cavill stayed silent about such gossip for a long time, to his occasional frustration. He fought for years, facing down countless rejections and close calls to land a part as cosmetically iconic as Superman. It's a role and a character he guards fiercely and he insists hasn't let go. The cape is in the closet, Cavill says. It's still mine, which is very similar to what Danny Garcia had said a while back when the Hollywood Reporter reported that he was gone as Superman. She said no, the cape is still in the closet for now, so there's no news. And he elaborates a little bit more as you go down the list here. In response to, pretty much everybody saying that he's done, his cape is finished, Henry Cavill's gone, he had this to say. I'm not just going to sit quietly in the dark as all this stuff is going on. I mean, he kind of has. Cavill says of the rumors, I've not given up the role. There's a lot I have to give for Superman yet. A lot of storytelling to do. A lot of real, true depth to the honesty of the character I want to get into. I want to reflect the comic books. That's important to me. There is a lot of justice to be done for Superman. The status is, you'll see. So in a way, he's almost just implying that he is definitely still Superman. There is a role possibly coming up. Could it be the Black Adam, since he is with the Garcias, and the Garcias do represent Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. The Rock has firmly put that he can go up against Superman. It seems like they are really trying to get them two together in a movie, and as such, and so maybe Danny Garcia is trying to negotiate her man, Henry Cavill, to get that Superman role, to get that Superman movie, or actually have him participate in some movie or the other. Why he haven't done the hashtag release of Snyder Cut, I have no idea at this moment, but let me get into that a little bit. So in this article, he also said this, which brings to mind Cavill's lengthy stretch as Superman. The 3 movies that made him an international star while also leaving a large segment of fans unsatisfied. He's cautious when discussing the films themselves, so consider these assessments the height of his candor. Man of Steel, a great starting point. If I were to go back, I don't think I'd change anything. Batman v Superman, very much a Batman movie, and I think that Realm of Darkness is great for a Batman movie. Justice League, it didn't work. So, that's great. He didn't want to change anything from Man of Steel. We know he wanted to be that hopeful Christopher Reeves version of Superman, and ultimately I think he would have got that in the Snyder Cut. But Batman v Superman, very much a Batman movie. I think that Realm of Darkness is great for a Batman movie, and to a certain extent, you can kind of see that being true, as when you see the theatrical cut, it's very Batman centric, because most of that was Batman. And if that's what he's talking about in terms of the theatrical cut, then true. It was a Batman film. It starts off with Batman, the birth of Batman, right? And ends with Batman being redeemed because of Superman. So in a way, it is truly a Batman film. It's humanity's descent into darkness to becoming the villains themselves. And in the end, he becomes redeemed by the true hero, Superman. Superman in a sense. But unless you watch Batman v Superman, the director's cut, Ultimate Edition, you actually do see a lot of that Superman story within it. It is a continuation of Man of Steel, but I can totally get to see that why Batman was part of it. Ben Affleck's name does come first. Batman's name does come first, and it does really is like more of a Batman movie. And maybe, I don't know, maybe Henry Cavill felt kind of like I was supposed to be the star of the next film, and maybe that's why he really wants the Superman film. Justice League, he's not in that movie that much, but it could really help him if he really supported. Since he actually says here, Justice League, it didn't work after that whole mustache gate, after the whole thing, the promises that Jeff Johns and Joss Whedon probably gave him and stuff like that, and it just really backfired. I would think, and it's just my opinion, I would think that him jumping on board the release of Snyder Cut could really make things a lot more interesting for the Superman character. I think it would actually get people to be much more excited about him being Superman again, right? I mean, wouldn't you think that? I mean, would you want your last legacy, not that that's his last legacy, but your last legacy of Superman, of being Superman, to be that mustache, weird-lipped thing that was in the Justice League version? So, I don't know, but maybe there's something in the background, negotiations, dealing with him trying to get another contract for another Superman movie. That's why he hasn't really said anything about the Snyder Cut. Maybe that's still on the table. Who knows? I mean, it's not like Ben Affleck, who is like the industry golden boy, if you will. He is a big name in Hollywood, so he's gonna be fine. Gal Gadot, she's got Wonder Woman 1984. She's fine. Aquaman's got Aquaman 2. He's fine. Ray Fisher's all in because the Justice League movie, the Snyder Cut, is the Cyborg movie. He was the star of that movie. So I can totally see him going all in, because once that movie comes out, people are going to get excited for Cyborg again, and maybe he'll get more films, right? And I would think maybe Superman, Henry Cavill here, would probably appreciate the Snyder Cut, so that it would kind of just get people excited for Superman again. See the Superman he was meant to be seen, and maybe that could just jump as a jump start point for him to get his own Superman movie. At least I hope so. But that is that. So Henry Cavill, apparently, he is saying he is still Superman, and we'll see how that goes later on. Let's see if he's going to show up in the Black Adam movie, or the Snyder Cut maybe, and maybe a future Superman film. Someone else who also wants to be in the Justice League Snyder Cut and wants to be credited and wants us to see it is Nick McKinless. He once again Instagrammed something out here. Says, training for Justice League and being picked to play Ares by Zack Snyder was a game changer for me with regards to physical preparation. Let's hope they do release a Snyder Cut, and let's hope I get some justice by being credited and given residuals that have instead been given to another actor who is clearly not on screen as this character. The second picture is my wardrobe label, Ares. So it does say Ares as his wardrobe label. Release the Snyder Cut, the real Ares. That's him right there. Thank you for all the support with this from the fans and true Justice League warriors. So this is interesting hashtags here. The real Ares, release the Snyder Cut, credit the right actor, pay the right actor. Justice is served. Beyond Strong at Beyond Strong 007. So it's very clear there that injustice has been served. He clearly was supposed to be Ares in the film, and it's very sad that he didn't get that, and I hope with the Snyder Cut coming out that he will get the residuals that he deserved. So another person also came out, and I think I missed this yesterday. I totally apologize, but Karen Bryson has tweeted out the the other day that she is for release the Snyder Cut. She even retweeted a bunch of other tweets in regards to release the Snyder Cut as well. So she is all in, and we can't wait to see her as Eleanor Stone, Dr. Eleanor Stone, in the Snyder Cut of Justice League. And the Snyder Cut of Justice League just keeps getting bigger. The noise it makes is awesome. I know Sean O'Connell made a Cinema Blend video, the Real Blend video, saying that they actually recorded up to 900,000 tweets. Not 707 something, 900,000 tweets. And if you really think about it, if you counted all the wrong hashtags, the release Cinder Cut or released the Snyder Cut, all those, it could essentially have been 1 million tweets, but it was, in any case, it generated a tremendous amount of noise that there's so many people talking about. There was even news on the television talking about it. News anchors actually on the TV set talking about it, right? And then one of the biggest newspapers, the New York Times, talked about it. And they're right here. The most talked about movie on social media this week is the one that may never come out. Of course, it is coming out. We just have to wait and see. But the New York Times has talked about it, generating a lot more noise. How incredible is that? Fortune magazine has also talked to him. Director Zack Snyder, stars Gal Gadot and Ben Affleck have been pushing to release the Snyder Cut. Amazing just to see this amount of publicity, free marketing, Warner Brothers, that has happened with this amount. I mean, I'm just banging my head over this, but what company does not want to capitalize on what the New York Times is calling the most talked about movie on social media? What company doesn't want to talk about that? I mean, I cannot. That is just boggles my mind, and that's why it is definitely there. If there are a company, they're smart enough, they will definitely capitalize on this. And so, but you know, there are probably negotiations going on. It does take a while. There's a lot of different things that has to be talked about and done within the thing, but until we can actually get some kind of announcement. So please be patient and just continue showing. Just continuing for people who are asking you, well, what's this about? What's that about? What's the Snyder Cut about? You know, tell them about it. You know, a lot of people are actually still don't know a lot of things about the Snyder Cut. In fact, I just did another interview with a Sci-Fi Wire. Jordan called me up and said, "Hey, you want to do you want to come back on our radio podcast?" And I'm like, "Sure." And it's been a year, maybe over almost 2 years, I think, since I've been on that podcast when we first talked about the Snyder Cut, and a lot of things has happened till now. But I guess because there's some big development that they wanted to talk to me. So I recorded that, and I don't know when you're going to get to hear that, but you'll probably hear about it soon. It was interesting conversation. They didn't seem to know about the art center. They didn't seem to know about what Zach said. They didn't seem to know about Darkseid. They didn't know it was 3.5 hours. They were kind of shocked. I think they were pretty quiet, and I just kept going and going, and they were kind of like, wow, at least from the silence. And the lady over there, I forgot her name, but she kind of admitted that she didn't know that the Snyder Cut was still real. Like, she heard that Jason Momoa said that, but she thought Jason Momoa was just probably joking around. But what caught her attention was the fact that Ben Affleck came out, that Ben Affleck had said it, and it actually pushed it further. So, and Ben Affleck made it because he is a Hollywood golden boy, right? He is a director, he's a producer, he's a big he's in the studios, right? He's there. He's the veteran here. And for him to come out and say that, there is something to be said there. There is something that, hey, you know what? I'm going to want to fight for this too. And it just makes everything a lot bigger. It makes everybody feel like, oh, this is just beyond some fan thing. There is something to it, and including Zack Snyder. And I get it. You're like, what are you talking about, Chris? We've known this. Everybody known this. That's true. But sometimes it just needs that certain individual to come out and say it. And a person who is, in the eyes of people, a huge A-list celebrity, A-list director, Oscar award winning, that type of person to come out and say that and actually be supporting the Snyder Cut and stuff like that is amazing. And that actually brought it to a new level of hype and excitement that we have not seen within the this 2 years of fighting for it. And so mahalo, thank you so much, Ben Affleck, for coming around and saying that, and thank you so much, Zack Snyder, for supporting that as well, and Gal Gadot. Thank you so much for that day saying hashtag release the Snyder Cut. One, it kind of validates the movement in a way, and two, they're all in, and that it could spell really positive things, in fact, for the cut coming out. So I'm very excited. I can't wait to hear some type of announcement. So, but in any case, it's amazing. It's crazy amazing, and the fuel is still, the fuel is still being fed to the fire, and Zack Snyder has not stopped that boat at all. Has not stopped that train. That train is going on forever and ever, I tell you. But Zack Snyder posted in Vero today that time in January 2017 when Diana came face to face with Uxas, I don't know what you call him, Darkseid himself for the first time. He posted this. It is an ADR of Gal Gadot as Diana Prince over footage of the history lesson. And yes, that is Darkseid, guys. That is definitely Darkseid. I'm going to try to see if I can zoom in here. That is definitely Darkseid. Not as finished as, what Zack Snyder had released before, and the image of Darkseid, but it's clearly him, clearly big and bulky and very, very scary. But what's interesting, a lot of people take note, is the time here. It's 2:10:49. Now, initially I thought this is around the 2-hour mark, but for people who know a little bit more about this type of thing, they always have starts at the 1-hour mark. So essentially what this actually really means is this scene is at the 1 hour and 10-minute mark of the movie. So this is where she did her ADR during this time of the movie. Now you may be thinking, well, is that what does that mean? What is happening in this film? I thought, initially I thought this was the prologue, but I guess it's not. This actually happens a little bit later. And just to be clear, that it's not Gal Gadot, it's not Wonder Woman fighting Darkseid, because this scene is her doing that ADR. I don't know if it's a later date, but if you look at the timestamp here, this is 2:09:40, meaning this is at the 1 hour and 9-minute mark, which essentially is right before this scene at the 1 hour and 10-minute mark. So that means it's really, Gal Gadot talking to Bruce, telling him about the history lesson. This is where it was supposed to be. They weren't supposed to be on a lake. She was wearing black. She was in the hangar talking to Bruce at this moment about the history lesson. So there probably changes where the history lesson, instead of being from the beginning of the movie, it is now in the middle of the movie, or perhaps maybe it's both. Maybe we'll see it a little bit in the beginning and whatever, but I don't know. I don't know at this point. The Snyder Cut is a mystery. Like, what happens before and after? Let's not get into it. Let's just get excited for its announcement. But it is cool. It is cool to see him doing that. It also comes into question a little bit about how finished this movie was, right? That time in January of 2017, the picture photography finished in October of 2016. They were already doing a lot of that post-production, as Jay Oliva had also told us that it's not like before. It's not like pre and production, the post production. Sometimes, a lot of times, production and post production are like in tandem. As soon as they do a scene, they shoot it over to a company to start working on it. So it's not like one has to be done then the other, right? So that's, I guess, in modern filmmaking, it's both is doing it at the same time. So it's very realistic that in January 2017, a lot of those visual effects from Weta, is that WETA, that VFX company, has started on doing this, and so she's able to do some ADR for that as well. So from January 2017, and probably even farther before, all the way up to when Zack left in, May, that a lot of it work was possibly done and possibly done after. But at this point in time, guys, I really don't care how much is complete, like what percentage, how much money is it to get. Right? Because right now, I just care about that announcement. Because once you get that announcement, then it's tangible. It's coming. Regardless of when or how or whatever. Whatever is true, whatever is not. Don't matter. Announcement, it's happening. It's happening regardless of whatever is happening in the background, whatever monetary thing. It's happening. Once you get the announcement, it's happening. That's all I really care about. And I think that's all we're really pushing for. So keep the noise up as we tend to get more followers, more supporters. And I think we should continue to support Release the Snyder Cut, continue to see this. And maybe Zack Snyder will just fuel us a little bit more, just a little bit. Well, we're just teasing us. Maybe this is part of some positive marketing. Who knows? But at this point, I really do believe the Snyder Cut is 100% coming. That's just my feeling anyway. I mean, I cannot understand how a giant company like Warner Brothers would not want to capitalize on the hype. A DC film that is the most talked about over any other DC film. I mean, why am I talking about a Snyder Cut? Because there's literally no news about Wonder Woman 1984. There's no news or excitement about Birds of Prey that's coming out just today. It's the Suicide Squad. What's everybody talking about when they say DC film? It's the Snyder Cut. It's the Snyder Cut. So Warner Brothers, stop messing around. Release the Snyder Cut.